I've been thinking a lot about what's the main thing that I'm focusing on for this draft? What's the main storyline? And Travis Hunter and Abdul Carter being, generational prospects, or maybe Travis Hunter really being the freak prospect that he is up there. But my attention is really on Shedeur Sanders right now. And I think that that's where most people's attention should be, because you can see some people have him above Cam Ward. Although at this point, it's consensus basically that the Titans will be taking Cam Ward. But some people view him more favorably than Cam. And then there are other drafts that have him sliding way down in the first round. And I know that the Giants are a team that everyone's circling. And that's really the first place at the moment that it looks like Shedeur will be questioned. The Browns, even whether they should be or not, it looks like they're going to go with Travis Hunter right now. And if not, it would be Abdul Carter. So I want to talk about the Giants for a second. As far as they go at 3, not what you mocked them to do, but what do you think the right move is for the Giants as far as Shedeur Sanders goes?
I think if Abdul Carter weren't struggling with this foot injury, it'd be a really easy answer. Take him, take the talent, see if you can get Shedeur later, maybe eye a move up and hope he falls. But foot injuries linger. They can take a lot of speed and explosiveness away. And we just don't know what's going to come out of Abdul Carter with this. Is he going to eventually need surgery? He says he doesn't before the draft process, but all of that is sort of clouding it. I also think, in last year's draft, there were 3 quarterbacks that you could be pretty confident had the potential to turn around a terrible team. We're talking a dog water franchise here. There were 3 teams that could do that, right? Or 3 players that could do that. Caleb Williams had the potential to do that, Jaden Daniels and Drake May. And all of them at least flash that potential. I think there are 0 of those quarterbacks this year. I don't think any of the guys in this draft are players that clearly profile to me as someone that can turn around a garbage franchise. So if that's where you're at, if you don't think that any of the players in this draft or any of the quarterbacks in this draft can turn around your terrible franchise, if you're a terrible franchise, don't take them. Or at least don't use the number 3 pick, the number 4 pick, one of these really early picks in the draft to do it. You want franchise-changing talent. You don't want a guy who can come in, play okay football like Kenny Pickett for a few years and then move on.
So I get what you're saying.
We've got to go back to this. For the people not watching, me and Paul just had an interaction. I cannot fathom right now.
What?
I get a message from Paul. Can we do a one-up of Ziggy? Sure, let's do a one-up
during his
Ziggy.
monologue.
During his monologue. Ziggy's still in his monologue. I get a text from Paul. All right, let's go back. Not even 30 seconds later.
Not
even 30 seconds.
You understand that my main job is a producer. I am a producer. That is my actual job. So when I'm watching, when Ziggy's in his monologue and I'm trying to do different things here, the right move is to go to Ziggy on the one-up. But then I'm getting ready to gear up a response, and I look over and I see producer Zach on his phone, probably talking to Hinge girls. So I got to send another text and say, hey, I'm about to come back in here. It's about locking in.
You are seeing live producing the Paul Farrington. This is behind the scenes right here.
This is what it's like. I mean, for anyone out there, who's interested in producing, it's like this is the kind of stuff that goes on behind the scenes here. And no, I'm just trying to keep the show afloat while producer Zach is talking to Hinge girls. It's trying to put the best product out.
Producer Zach was going to keep it afloat.
Producer Zach's got to lock in.
Like another 10 seconds in that monologue.
No, I guess to each his own. But all
right,
let me pick back up. Yes, I appreciate the passion, producer Zach. That's we all love to see that. I'm sure the listeners like to see that too. As far as Shedeur goes, going back to Ziggy's point, if we bring this back in on Shedeur Sanders, it's interesting to hear you say that, Ziggy, because you are the king. Your big take is throwing darts at the dartboard until you land the quarterback that works. So it's kind of interesting for me to hear you say, I feel like it would be a mistake for them to take Shedeur at 3 here. And, as far as Abdul Carter's foot injury goes, that's another weird thing for me as the draft comes around. We're talking like Jahad Campbell as well, the linebacker out of Alabama. People are talking about Jahad Campbell falling into the second round because he's dealing with an injury right now. But everyone, the same people who have him falling say, this could be a really, really good player shortly into the season. Just he's dealing with this injury right now. And I understand uncertainty can be around injuries can be alarming. But if you're confident he's going to fully recover, I mean, should Jahad Campbell not go in the 10 to 15 range just because he's going to be available in later summer or worst case scenario, September?
Well, the thing is when these players are injured, it makes evaluating them much harder. You can't do workouts. You can't get measurables this easily. And as you say, if you're 100% sure they'll come back 100%, that's great. But that just doesn't always happen.
Yeah.
That's why the Jahad Campbell thing I'm much less worried about. But like foot fractures are the sorts of things that we've seen derail promising careers.
No, you're right about as far as the foot injuries goes. Yeah, like that's an easier injury to aggravate and potentially.
The Campbell one doesn't make any sense to me. We've seen the tape. We know who he is. I think the reason that it's affecting the Campbell talk is because he's a player that people are hoping will be like Micah Parsons, right? He did one thing in college, but you really want to see him do something else in the NFL in order to be worthy of that really high pick. And getting measurables is important for that. I still have a lot of faith in him. I think he could be a great player. I don't think he should be falling too much, but what are you going to do?
Now, again, so with our show just going all over the place.
Let's go back. Let's go back to Shedeur.
Going back to Shedeur here, I do think that the Giants are going to take him, and here's why, is because if they let him go, I'm seeing a lot of people right now saying, you know what, take Abdul Carter, take Travis Hunter, and then maybe you get a chance to double dip and trade back up for Shedeur Sanders. I really can't see that happening. As you go down the draft board, you and I were talking about this earlier today. I think there's a chance the Raiders could make a move at 6, the Jets at 7, the Saints at 9. There's just too many teams here, in my opinion, that would make a move for Shedeur where it doesn't become feasible for the Giants to move back up. If the Giants had a pick in the teens or maybe the early 20s as well, that's a much easier move up than from the second round. I mean, I don't know if they want to mortgage their future for Shedeur Sanders, regardless of how high they are on him. So, I don't think you're going to be able to double dip. It seems to me that's either you get him at 3 or you could trade back and hope he falls. That's the only way you're getting Shedeur. The other thing I'm looking at here, and this is more from the strategic side of things, I'm interested to hear your response. But when you think about the teams in the NFL who made the playoffs, right? 9 of those 14 teams had drafted their quarterback. Okay? 6 of the 8 in the divisional round drafted their quarterback. The only ones who didn't were the Rams and the Lions, who had the swap of Stafford and Goff. And what I'm trying to say here is the way to get your franchise back on track is drafting the right quarterback, drafting the franchise quarterback. And this is what you always talk about when you say throwing darts until you find your guy. Myles Garrett is unbelievable. Patrick Surtain is unbelievable. Justin Jefferson's unbelievable. But none of these guys are the ones that are going to propel the change for the franchise. It comes down to the quarterback. You need the quarterback to go on the run. I was looking back at since 2003, 18 of the 21 Super Bowl champion teams drafted their quarterback. Now, a lot of that was Peyton and Brady, Big Ben, Mahomes. And we have seen Stafford win one. We saw Peyton and Brady both win one with different teams. But that's sort of the point here, is that Hall of Fame quarterbacks and championship level quarterbacks aren't often available in free agency. You have to kind of find your guy in the draft most of the times to go on these Super Bowl runs. And that's why I'm just thinking, if I'm the Giants here, Hunter or Abdul Carter could be amazing. And they probably will be. But are they going to elevate you to a team that can win the Super Bowl? No. And I don't think anyone would say that. But Shedeur Sanders would have the chance if he pans out. And who knows when you're going to be picking a first-round quarterback again. Arch Manning's there, but how many guys next year really impress you? I just don't know how many opportunities you'll have for a guy who could be a franchise changer at the quarterback position. And that's why I'm looking at the Giants going, man, Joe Shane and Brian Dable are probably not surviving if they have another horrible season. So when you pair that, or I'm sorry, you make the trio of Dable and Shane, Giants probably can't get Shedeur unless they take him at 3. And then who's the guy that changes the franchise? The quarterback. That's where I think the Giants should actually take Shedeur Sanders. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, I won't spoil too much. I think the Giants will definitely keep an eye on him and may still be targeting him, even if we see them do something like trading back. But the thing with Sanders is I've gone back, I've watched it. It is just, I can see why people think he's a high ceiling prospect. He's a very accurate passer. He's got enough athleticism. He handled pressure all right when he wasn't taking sacks. He didn't throw a whole lot of interceptions, but it's just very hard for me to see him making that jump. He took tons of sacks. He doesn't have, I think, the NFL arm talent to make the kinds of throws he could in college. And most importantly, he made a name for himself as a prospect playing with elite talent against bad schools. And in the NFL, you just can't do that. So I get why people are excited about him. I think he should be going in the first round. It's true.
I mean, last year,
I will make my prediction. You are going to look at Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter the same way people look at Johnny Manziel and Mike Evans. You're going to say, how did that guy make it into the first round? Because Travis Hunter is an unbelievable player.
I mean, look, Shedeur had a great year at Colorado. Like he was fantastic.
I'm not saying he's a bad guy. I'm not saying he's a terrible player. He should go in the first round. I don't think that. I mean, I don't even think Cam Ward is all that exciting a quarterback prospect. This feels like hyping a guy up because the class isn't good and guys need to keep their job.
There's definitely a degree of that going on with Shedeur Sanders. Like last year, where
he'd be QB7 last year.
Yeah, maybe he's QB7. I mean, there's a chance he could be a little higher than that. Like there's a world where that's possible. Like he is an accurate passer. I think he's a good quarterback. I'm not saying he's not. Johnny Manziel to me was a little more of that, scramble around, make something.
They are not similar kinds of players. That's not what I mean. Yes, what I mean is they were both carried by one of the best wide receivers the sport's ever seen.
Yeah, I just think when you look at from a pure prospect standpoint, I understand what you're saying again. But I do think that there's more reason to believe in Shedeur as an NFL prospect than there was Johnny Manziel.
Yeah, well, this is the thing about the NFL draft is you only need one team to buy a player in order for them to get taken. Whereas if for a player to fall, you need every single team on the board to say, that's not my guy. That's not my guy. That's not my guy.
Oh, 100%. And this is what's so interesting about Shedeur Sanders. It's part of that. Hey, how good is this guy really? Just given the quarterback class, he's rising, right? So do you want to take the guy that you're really... There's no such thing as a sure thing as well when it comes to Travis Hunter or Abdul Carter. But I'm just thinking if I'm the Giants, if I'm a Giants fan and I'm predicting how I'm feeling 4 years in the future, right? If we get Abdul Carter, that he might be awesome. But can I really see us being a championship contending team? It'll depend on drafting another guy at some point. And eventually you have to roll the dice on a quarterback. I just don't know who it's going to be at that position for them to get them out of this rut they've been in now for 6-7 years. I mean, it's been unbelievable how long the Giants have been terrible. And if you draft Shedeur and it goes wrong, fine, you're just still horrible. But if it goes right, you're back in contention. And that's where I think that this rolling of the dice on Shedeur is starting to become more appealing to me because you just need to change things up. And I don't think Abdul Carter would do that as great as he is.
I think you are right that Shedeur Sanders can be a high impact player. He has a chance to be the highest impact player in the entire draft. But it's not as if edge rushers are bums. It's not as if those are guys 100%. You can just get in free agency, right? We've seen what the rate is for an elite edge rusher. It's going to be, by the time Abdul Carter's up for an extension, it'll probably be $60 million plus a year is what those guys will be going for. That's just the fact. So if you need to take elite talent at positions you can't trade for and can't sign in free agency. This is why you don't take a running back very early. This is why you don't take a safety very early. You can get the best players in the NFL, all pros in free agency. But edge rusher is not different there. Those guys are critical to team success. Basically, every team that has a chance to win the Super Bowl has a great defensive line. That's just something you need in the modern NFL. So I don't think I agree that Shedeur Sanders is going to add more wins than Abdul Carter if he's there. But that's just how it goes.
Yeah, I don't want people sitting back saying, oh, Paul's an idiot here, just deciding to pass on great prospects for the sake of quarterback. But there's a piece of me that's saying, yeah, when Shedeur is a reasonable pick at 3. If they went, this is why, Jackson Dart or Quinn Ewers, as you go down the draft board, yeah, eventually it becomes less and less practical to take one of these quarterbacks as opposed to prospects that you like more. But as far as Shedeur goes and Cam Ward, these are guys that people view as higher end or at least first round talents. So Shedeur still would have been a first round pick in the NFL draft last year.
I'm not sure that's true.
I definitely 100%. I think so. So that's where I'm coming from. I'm just looking at what the Giants need to get out of this, and I think they're just extending it with Abdul, even though he's unbelievable. So, I don't want to deny that. So yeah, it's interesting. We'll see in the Ziggy mock draft what the Giants do at number 3. It sounds like there could be some sort of a surprise at that pick.